How many times have you wondered how people got on before you? Now, when I was diagnosed, and I've said this before on the video, I was afraid to voice my opinion. The first one I can really remember was the doctor, my first endocrinologist, kind of said, "Oh well, you should go and go with this group and play in the gym. They go out and play in the gym every day, and you're going to go do that." And I said, no, I don't. And I didn't really speak up. Now, I speak up about things about my health, about diabetes. For example, I was on a certain type of insulin for the longest time. And out of my disability, I had to pay for that insulin. And I sat down with my doctor and I said, "Is there any way we could lower the cost of, this is getting to be quite expensive and it's money I could use elsewhere," type thing. And he said, "Well, yeah, why are you on Humalog? There's a new Humalog." There he is. And so now we went on to that Humalog. And now there's a shortage of that one, so everyone was jumping on the bandwagon. So you need to say, "Hey, things are getting a little tight, or this really isn't working for me." But the light was low. You need to be the one to say, "Hey," and diabetes care isn't always about the nurse and the doctor. You are a team player in it. Now, this could go for type 1, type 2, gestational. You have to say things aren't working right. Now, I kept voicing my opinion that my blood sugars in the morning were, getting to be quite high. I'm talking around 19. And I constantly had to sort of sit there and I don't feel well. And the best way to say how I feel when my blood sugars go high is I feel like I'm going to be sick. I'm not going to be sick. And, thinking back to my childhood, I used to say, "Oh, I'm not feeling well." And, feeling my head, "Oh, you don't have a fever, you can go to school." Well, my blood sugar, I guess, came down and I was fine. But at that point, if you had a high blood sugar, you dealt with it this way the doctor told you. It was kind of like if you had called your doctor back then, a lot of them would thought you were complaining a bit much. Yeah, right. Now, if you're having a problem, they expect you to call. And I still sometimes have a problem doing that. Sorry, my hand's still talking. It's off camera. My hand's doing the dance. Now, why do I still feel this way? It was, I guess, the way I was brought up. Years ago, you'd go in and you'd say, "Yes, sir," "Yes, ma'am," type thing. You would call your mom's friends Mr. unless they had a difficult last name. Like they were the Livingstones. Livingstons, not Livingstones. I'm not in Flintstone era. Living across the street from us, and I just couldn't get Livingston out of my mouth. And she said, okay, just call me Aunt Joyce. There still was that level of respect. And you weren't really allowed to disagree. If your parents felt it was important enough, maybe you could do it. Now, talking about your illness and when you trip and fall, when you've done something that you're not really taking care, admit it. Tell the doctor, yes, I did this, no, I didn't do this, or, help them along. Don't be the silent patient. Yeah, I'll do it, okay. Because if you're not going to do it, it'll end up hurting you. Or if you've tried it once before and it didn't really work, or it worked great, let your doctor know. Let your diabetic nurse know. Try, what do you call them? Your dietitian. And I can remember, this is kind of related, not related. I was at a diabetes education center, and I was sitting there with the nurse and with the dietitian, and I knew this dietitian, like I'd been there a few times, and she went on and she was jumping around the issue of bread, and she said, how do you feel about swirly bread? And I said, I love those types of bread. Of course, a lot of times they're more expensive, but it's more easier to digest. Let's speak clearly now. But I felt very funny. She was afraid that I was going to jump. And sometimes I got changed to a type of insulin called Fiasp. It was supposed to be the quickest. It was quite expensive. And I know my Dr. Ross. No, it's not Ross. That's Eyes. Dr. Shu, was giving me samples and getting it for me. And then, of course, the big pandemic thingy, Bobby Boo, came about, and I didn't really want to go out that much. I'm sure he didn't want me, and his office was closed, and so I just went back to the Humalog, and it wasn't a big deal. And he asked, well, what insulin are you using? Oh, Humalog. He said, oh, good choice. He went down for the Fiasp. And we agreed the Fiasp was a little expensive. And when you're on disability, every dollar counts. And I think we need to learn that if something's not working, call your doctor. Leave them a message. The best way I find to get involved with my doctor is to email. I don't think he's doing regular visits. I think last time I was there, it was sort of him there. there was no receptionist. They are really running a skeleton staff. And so I email them when I have concerns or questions, or I contact my diabetes nurse, A1 diabetes nurse, and we discuss things. And, I go off on these tangents sometime and thinking, oh, well, I'm low or I'm high because of so-and-so. Is this the reason? And usually I'm totally off in left field. I have no medical education. The only medical education I really have is from diabetes or something I've dealt with. I'm pretty sure everyone's in the same boat. But speak up for yourself with your doctor. Don't be the quiet one. Anyway, I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.